The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back. Another episode of HBCU. It's your boy Pooh Bell. Got my man Aunt Petty Murphy in the building. What's good? My boy, how you doing?
What's happening, dog? It was a Monday that I ain't have to work, so it was a great day.
It was. And not just that, man. We had football all weekend. Some great games.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to, is it fair to say that HBCUs had the best matchups in all of college football this weekend?
I don't think that's too far-fetched to say.
I mean, it was a
lot of great games.
Matchups. Yeah, yes. All the Labor Day classics. The Orange Blossom Classic. Safe to say that's going to stay orange for at least this year.
At least another year.
At least this year. Man.
Brick City kickoff.
Yep, there you go. Brick City kickoff. Red Tails Classic. So definitely some
Labor
great
Day
games.
Classic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's good, Josh? He said, "How you, fellas? How y'all doing?" I'm great, man. I am wonderful. I'm wonderful. Coming off a high, man. Listen, I want to give a big shout out to Fred, Travis, all of Alabama State, all the people I got to see, you know what I'm saying? Got to see our brother Jamie again. Got to see, you know what I'm saying, BJ. Got to meet, you know what I'm saying, Melanated. And his crew. Listen, hey, when he was talking about the food that they had, listen, if you ever get a chance to go to Alabama State for a tailgate, that's how it should be done. I'll say that. That's how it should be done. Shout out Melanated and his people. Miss Erica, hey, just an amazing, first of all, amazing person. Then she brought some of her Howard friends, and in true Howard fashion, they brought champagne and drunk. You know what I'm saying? Had they plastic cups drinking with the pink and ale. I was gonna drink some with them, man, but I got, you know what I'm saying, caught up ripping and running. I was trying to get my steps in.
You ain't bougie enough.
Yeah, I wasn't bougie enough, man. Saw Miss Keisha Black College Experience too, man. Hey, man. Then I saw our guys, man. We were supposed to have them on, man. Wild card. Kendall A. Smith and Khalil Kellerman. Saw them. Khalil Kellerman, man. Man, them boys was working, man. I was like, man, I was asking them, like, hey, you know what I'm saying, this is my first time being, you know, say, especially Alabama State, how you do it? It's like, man, we, you know, this kind of, you know what I'm saying, first time we really been doing like on the sidelines. Okay. It's all right. So yeah, I might try to stick with y'all. It's all right. I turned my head to look at something, I look back, they were gone. They was
living it up, bro.
Boy, I'm talking about they was on opposite ends of the fields, getting all the angles. So yeah, he said, Howard wine and cheese affair. Yeah, man. Erica brought the crew with her, man. They was sipping a sippity sip. I walked over. Erica had a big old plate. All kind of surreal hamburger, all kind of stuff, man. She was tearing it up. She was, man.
She gonna get you for that.
Yeah, she would. Hey, she can get mad. I mean, she ain't gonna get mad. But she would eat. Listen, she had that plate. She better get mad at that plate. She ate it like she was bad at it, like that plate owed her money. But it was good, man. I love Erica, man. You can't help but love Erica, man. I'm trying to see if somebody else I'm missing. I said BJ. I saw J Max. There. He was working, doing his thing. What's good, Shannon? Shannon said she said they watching the Clemson Duke. I was looking at it earlier. Don't be surprised Duke pulled that off. I'm trying to think of what else, man, happened. That was it was somebody else. Oh, I saw my boy, and I had to let him know.
Oh, Bubba.
I had to let Bubba know.
Talking about the swag defensive player of the week, Bubba.
Yes, sir. I walked behind him, and you know what I'm saying? It was kind of, Alabama. I have to say, Alabama State was kind of, defense was kind of moving a little slow in the first half. I walked up behind him, said, "Hey, I just want to let you know, what Tonka be cheating," and he started laughing. You know what I'm saying? He turned up after that though. I guess it was motivation. So I'm gonna have to give him a call every week, let him know.
Trying to take credit for that, man.
Hey man, listen. I'm gonna, hey, listen. HBCU all got things to prove, man. We're got to be in some places. Y'all let me know which high school be cheating in your area. I go go tell your players, hey, your high school be cheating. But nah, man, it was good, man. It was a great experience, man. Enjoyed it. Something else we gotta talk about. This Battle of the Bands or this band national championship. It's being, you can see the implications. The bands was going at it. And granted, bands always go at it or whatever, but this felt like extra spicy. I mean, and then Alabama State didn't make it no eat the fans. Their fans was talking, so I'm used to fans talking football. I mean, trash to the football players. The fans was talking trash to the band so much. Southern band,
yeah, I saw that,
turned and faced the fans and started playing directly at them. So
I saw that. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was, man. It was. Hey, and then Alabama State had me hyped off the jump, off rip, because when the team was getting ready to come out the tunnel, I have never heard a band play this, and so when I heard it, I was like, oh, they started playing that, bah, 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 whoop that trick, get. I was like, oh,
okay. They dug in
okay.
their bag for that one.
Oh, hey, I was like, let's get it. But yeah, man, I truly, thoroughly enjoyed myself, man. I hadn't stopped talking about it. Look forward to going back down there or catching another state game. I don't know when, just simply because of time and stuff. Maybe Port City. Matter of fact, I do know when I'm gonna catch the revenge game in Mobile.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to hit that one as well.
So
we got
Rev. If you walking, I mean, if you watching Rev, you can go ahead and get the rooms ready. HBCU out coming. I'm coming. What did I say? Oh, we coming. Yeah, we'll get there. But man, let's go ahead and get ready to get started, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Give a shout out to our sponsors over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag. We'll be back in 1 minute. BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, man. We are back, man. Listen, y'all know what it is. We want to say thank you, everyone, for watching. Could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Don't forget, subscribe, like, share, super chat. Help us get to the SWAC championship game. Help us for this all these classic we finna try to hit up. I'll get this great reporting and these pitches. Sideline. Great reporting. We get some excellent reporting, man. I be finding that stuff, man. People be talking to us. They be letting us stuff, the inside scoop. Sources. Yeah. Breaking news. But anyway. We'll talk. Oh man. But man, no, man. It's we're gonna talk more about that game and that situation. But man, I do want to start here.
Game of the week?
Nah, I wasn't game of the week. It's one of the.
What was
it makes me feel good about my prediction. Let's talk about Morgan State versus Richmond.
Okay, we're gonna start there. The upset of the week. Okay.
Yes. Let's talk about Morgan State versus Richmond. Shout out to the fighting Banks, Markham Banks. Them Bears. They went down, took care of them Richmond Spiders, man. Finished the game out 17-10. Pure dominance on defense.
Oh yeah,
pure dominance. Morgan State. So my prediction. I've said it 2 or 3 times on a couple of different shows. I know I said it on here. Morgan State's my prediction. My prediction is Morgan State will finish second in the MEAC. Just simply because of their defense. If their offense has any semblance of life, they're going to be very dangerous. And I think they can do it. The way they played this weekend versus Richmond, their defense with those 2 Aeneas Williams watch list players. Mm-hmm. When you also have a linebacker core that is ranked as one of the top in FCS. I didn't say HBCU, FCS. Yeah, this defense got something to prove, and I like it.
They play like they had a chip on their shoulder against Richmond, man. MEAC Defensive Player of the Week, Eric Hunter, 11.5 tackles, sack and a half, forced fumble, man, was all over the field. They played like they knew that they was gonna be relied upon to kind of lead this team to victory. The offense didn't play bad, but the defense definitely was what carried that team to victory versus Richmond. And we like to think of Richmond as kind of a high-powered offense, but we didn't see any of that Saturday.
Yeah, man, definitely, man. One of the great showings, especially for a MEAC squad against the CIAA members who tend to, whoop up on the MEAC a little bit, or HBCUs as a whole. Man, listen, Shannon, I'm trying to avoid that. I'm recovering. It was funny. I told the kids at practice today. Shannon Briggs said LSU need to play like that last night. I told the kids at practice, I said, y'all running extra laps until I can I said, y'all gonna run until I forget about last night. They said, what happened last night?
Man, them kids ain't do nothing to you, man.
Man, one of them little kids said, man, he said I was rooting for LSU. I mean, he said I was running for Florida State. I said 30 laps. Go. Just run. As a matter of fact, tell your mama and your dad to come over here. They gonna run too. They raised you wrong. But no. But yeah, man, that defense of Morgan State, man. I'm looking forward to see, how that season plays out, man. I realistically think that they'll do in the MEAC, they can go 4-1. With that, of course, the one loss being Central. I think that's the only. Well, I'm not gonna say the only team, huh?
You don't think they could beat Central?
I ain't saying they can't.
You just automatically
I ain't saying they can't beat Central. I'm not saying they can't beat Central because everybody can be beaten. But what I am saying is that I think Central is dynamic enough to maneuver that defense. So we'll go there. Anything, man, before we because we're gonna move on. This next one,
Nah, that's all. I
I,
just really that defense and shout out to E4 to Eric Hunter for that performance he had. That's all I really was cause man, that guy was all over the field.
oh yeah. Speaking of all over the field, Hampton versus Grambling.
Hampton quarterback was all over the field.
Yes. He I think he got CIAA Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive player,
I mean,
yeah,
of the week. I'm sorry. He got
as he should
CIAA.
have.
Yeah, Offensive Player of the Week. He had 280 total yards and 4 touchdowns.
Man had 100 on the ground and 100 something in the air, man.
Graham, what's going on, man? See, I didn't see this game live. I saw highlights and I saw the score and kind of, some secondhand information. Tell me about it, man. Because I know when I first somebody, I said, let me check this score. And I looked at the score, I said, that ain't right. And I thought my signal was bad.
Graham, I think if I'm not mistaken, Graham scored first, but after that it was all Hampton, man. Grambling offense did look good. Miles Crowley, offensive player of the week. If I'm not mistaken,
Oh yeah, no, he wasn't offensive player of the week.
Oh, he was offensive player of the week from some publication. It might not have been the swag, but I saw Graham posted it today. I mean, he looked great. But defensively, man, I just don't know, bro. It don't look like they really had a clue, man. Hampton was able to do whatever they wanted offensively. Graham tried to answer, but Hampton would come right back with another score. So Grambling got a lot to fix defensively, man. But there's a lot to be hopeful for offensively for Graham with both Tony Hoyle's offense, but Miles Crowley, man, they got them a quarterback. I think we can kind of answer those questions now that Grambling's got them a competent quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And going forward for the swag play, that's got to at least give them a boost of confidence. But if they don't fix that defense, I don't know if it's gonna matter.
Yeah, I was actually. It's funny you say that. I was actually talking with Khalil, and I was telling him, I said, Miles had a game, and Kendall looked at me and said, I told you he was gonna do it. But yeah, he was very because I know when I looked it up, and I'm pulling it up now, I know it was like 325. I want to say he threw for. But just even not just 311. Here we go.
Yeah, 311 and 2 touchdowns.
Oh shoot, I hit the wrong button. And no picks. That was another thing. Yeah, 311. No picks. 25 for 38. So 65 or 66% completion, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a long 43 with a quarterback rating of 151.9.
Yeah, he was efficient, man.
Yeah.
He looked good out there. Lyndon Rash looked good out there, like 90-something yards receiving and a touchdown. So offensively, I don't really think there's much to be concerned about for Grambling. I think you just got to look at that defensive side of the ball, especially whenever you look at the players they got over there. Sonny Anderson, Lewis Matthews, and those guys over there on that squad. You would expect them to come out with a better performance than this.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I when I was talking with the HU Powership, I told him I was saying the key to the game was in my opinion, if the offense gets going, Grambling's offense gets going, and if Hampton couldn't stop the run, that it was gonna be a long day for Hampton. That was assuming Hampton's defense was gonna look like Hampton's defense of last year. I did not foresee, this defense kind of giving up the points that they did.
I mean, Grambling had 100 yards rushing, but they had to work for it. I don't even know if they averaged like 3. I think they averaged less than 3.5 yards a carry. I mean, they had to work for it. They were much more effective through the air.
Yeah, I'm looking now. Yeah, they had they literally barely 100 yards rushing. Literally, bam, 100 yards, and they gave up 279 yards rushing. Grambling got that was on 29 attempts. So they had 3.4 yards per rush.
Okay, so it was right at 3.5. Okay.
Yeah, 3.4 yards per rush. 9 penalties for 85 yards. And time of possession killed them. The crazy thing about it, Hampton had 2 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
They threw 2 interceptions. So when you lose the turnover battle like that, especially like 2, that's the game. But where you can see Hampton had 26 first downs. I mean, you're constantly on the field. I'm trying to see what was that third down. Grambling was 7-13, Hampton was 6-13. And then Hampton went for it on 1 4th down and got that. So
yeah, defense,
man.
Grambling defense was on the field for over half the game, man.
Yeah, 32 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yep.
So
and that's with you getting 2 turnovers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Chuck brings up something. Said Grambling's defense has shown that they are weak against mobile quarterbacks.
Yep. I think that's fair to say whenever you look at what he was able to do with his legs, man. I mean, 100 how many yards rushing he had? 114 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's
15 carries, 114 yards. Yes, wow.
That's not that's a recipe for L all day long, man.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, man, let's talk about the next big game, man, that went on this weekend. Orange Blossom Classic. I'm saving one of my favorite. I'm saving my favorite game for last. Travis, stick with us. We go because Travis brought up something, and he's right about that. What's good, Zach? I actually meant to hit you up and see if you want to come on. And that's my fault. He said Hampton's QB looks legit though. Massive upgrade from last season.
That's
that
true.
Was
he does look legit.
Yeah. That was something that we talked about. Like I said, with HU Powership, that was something that they were concerned about. And Terry Wash said, "Did you see the offensive line for Hampton? They are big, if I'm not mistaken.
Big is an understatement.
Yeah. Jeff was talking about it. Their size. He was talking about their size and was saying that because they have to play in CIAA, they've started recruiting that line, saying the trenches to be massive enough and big enough to yeah. So yeah. What's good, Tarai say for Graham fam all day. Yeah, man. Hey, it's gonna be a bounce back. I don't think Graham is down for long.
No, I mean Graham showed a lot offensively. I just think that they gotta tighten up on some things defensively, but much more improved offensively over last year. Just based off game 1, what we saw in game 1.
Yeah. So hold on real quick. Let me see if I can shoot this over to Zach real quick. Zach, if you want to, you can hop on with us. Let me shoot you this link. Because I did have some questions for you about a couple games. Let me do this first. I should have Zach on speed down. Our HR be tripping.
Token guest.
Oh man.
Yeah, great. I mean, I was surprised by the size of Hampton's offensive line, though. I'm not gonna lie. They up there with Howard's size, offensive line, man. They big and they athletic for their size too, man. They can get out there and pull and some big boys, man, moving that can move.
Yeah, that's what like I said though. And that's something you have to say when they move to the CAA. That is, and also initially going to the Big South. That's something they had to do, man. Was adjust to the style of play of those conferences. Get the body types for those conferences and move and do compete like that. But yeah, man. Let's, like I said, I kind of introduce. Let's talk about this Orange Blossom Classic. FAMU at the gate with a massive, and I mean massive, opening kickoff, and it was like, all right, set the tone. Let's go. So let me ask you this first off. What are your thoughts? Because I got two thoughts on the game. What's your initial thoughts on it though?
It's pretty much like I expected it to go. I didn't expect it to be that one-sided early on, but I feel like that FAMU was gonna win.
Yeah, I felt FAMU was gonna win. I did not. But see, here's my thing. Them jumping out like they did, I'm not surprised. Jackson State not responding was the surprise for me.
Yeah.
Not responding initially.
Initially,
yeah. What's a surprise for me? And then I was waiting on and I hate to say it like this, I was waiting on the other shooter drop and for FAMU to kind of let out the gas and open the door for Jackson State. Self-inflicted. I was waiting on it. Not because I thought that they weren't good enough. I just felt like I've seen FAMU squander opportunities. And I was, like I said, I was waiting on that other shooter drop. So, but
let me ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is your your viewpoint of Jackson State? Does it change after this weekend?
No. So my viewpoint of Jackson State changed. My viewpoint of Jackson State changed after the South Carolina State game. But it changed to they're going to be really, they're actually going to be really good. I don't think there's any drop off. And I still don't think it's much drop off. I think FAMU just prepared and hit the portal hard enough and stock that roster up to where it caught up with Jackson State. I think Jackson State still is a really good team. Second or third in the East.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that. I think FAMU's attention to the offensive and defensive line in the portal, and then I think you really saw that this past weekend. I think they held up good against that Jackson State front, and they also got after the quarterback pretty well, and they were able to pressure without bringing a lot of blitzes and things of that nature. So I think you really saw what they was trying to do in the portal. I think you really saw that come to fruition this weekend versus Jackson State. But I'm kind of with you. I think FAMU is as good as people were kind of thinking they would be whenever they can play to their potential, like we saw in the first half. And I think Jackson State isn't as bad as people were trying to make them seem after this weekend, but they also aren't as good as people were trying to make them seem after beating South Carolina State. I think they're somewhere in that middle ground, and I think they are a little bit behind FAMU, but I wouldn't be surprised if, Jackson State was still right there in the mix for that East title at the end of the season.
Yeah, they definitely gonna need some help. But
now they will.
Yeah, Taraj says Golden Boot pod. FAMU looks really good. They have talent on both sides of the ball. JSU still can bounce back from this. JSU has talent as well. I completely agree, and that kind of goes with what we were both saying. But yeah, hold on. We got breaking news. Affirmative actions in the building, ladies and gentlemen. We got them back. Our good man, Zach. Appreciate you jumping on, man. Last minute. What's good, Zach?
Hey, man. How you guys doing? Hey, I'm always ready to go during football season.
Hold on. You know what? That's you can tell. Hold on. Hold on, Zach. Let me.
That's a good point.
Yeah. What's good though, man? Orange Blossom Classic. How you feel about it?
FAMU answered a lot of question marks that I had. I mean, because for me, it was it's hard to predict games early in the season anyway, but it's really hard when you saw one team play and the other team had so many spots. I think the defensive line is a spot that I was very uncertain about for FAMU, just because you lose Isaiah Land, Kamari Stevens transfers. You have Gentle Hunt, but there wasn't a proven edge rusher that has stayed healthy, that has been the guy. Anthony Dunn Jr. dominated the offensive tackles for Jackson. I mean, he really made a mark. Dre Jones had a good game. The wide receivers look legit behind Jordan Moore and Isaiah Major. The front seven really proved themselves. I think we all knew with Kendall Bowler, Javon Morgan, they had talent in the secondary. If their front seven can consistently get pressure on another quarterback, man, FAMU is going to be really tough to beat. And I think, listen, we knew the speed. When you recruit the state of Florida, me and you both know, man, we played football down in Alabama, right here by Florida. You could throw a rock and find a guy who runs 4.3, 4.4. They got speed everywhere. Marcus Riley, Jamari Shareed really stepped up because we know how big Xavier was for them last year. Jamari Shareed looks like he could be the guy for FAMU this year. When I leave this game, though, the only question mark I have is Musa's consistency. He played great the first half, but that second half, when you go to the Celebration Bowl, if you're going to try to win, if you're try to upset South Florida this weekend, you're going to need more from Jeremy Musa.
Bingo. Terry on it. Something else. Last year, Jackson State had the film. This year, FAMU had the film. Just saying.
Yeah, I think that plays a lot into it, especially whenever you, like Zach was saying, there's so many question marks about FAMU. You know what I mean? Like, without them having Zay, you don't know what they were going to look like offensively to a certain extent. Defensively, with all the transfers and guys that they brought in, how would they look? Whereas FAMU knows exactly how Jackson State was going to look under with all the questions that they had going into the season. We saw them answer a lot of those questions against South Carolina State, so they kind of had a blueprint for what Jackson State was going to do versus TC, and those guys kind of had no answers to their questions. Like Zach was saying, they went in kind of blind.
Yeah. Zach, you brought up something that I was actually going to touch on next. Musa. First of all, I do want to say that I want to point this out about Musa. At Media Day, we had the FAMU guys were coming by, and they were going to sit down and do an interview, but they got pulled away. Say, hey, we got to go do this. He said, oh, they's like, okay, we'll come back. It was close to the end of Media Day. You know that part where everybody's starting to pack up and leave. Hugh Huden left the building already. They skipped out on our interview again. But they were leaving. Musa came over. He was like, hey, y'all still want to do it? It's like, oh yeah, definitely. He's like, man, I told you I was gonna come back. I just want to make sure I'm, I stick to my word. That told me a lot about his character. Yeah. But when we talked to him, he was saying that, and I thought he looked pretty crisp in the first quarter. And he was saying that this was the first time he's in his whole career, even high school, that he's been under the same system for 2 years. So, and I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he said that even high school, and I have to go pull it up. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what he said. You on mute?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is what he said. But yeah, I think he also mentioned trying to prove how good he could be without Xavier as well. He talked about trying to rely on some of those other guys that they have, but I think in that first half he kind of looked like he was progressing good without Xavier, but he kind of reverted back to some of what we saw last year from him. Whenever he wasn't going to Xavier Smith, he wasn't as accurate. He didn't seem as confident whenever he was going to other receivers, and we kind of saw that in the second half of this weekend.
Big time.
Yeah, I mean, with Musa, though, I think the biggest thing is for FAMU to get the best out of him. It's not so much Musa. If you can establish a run, like a rushing attack, it makes him an exponentially better quarterback. I mean, you got to think FAMU last year, last in the entire conference in rushing. I mean, they struggled to move the football. This past weekend, up against this Jackson defense, they put up over 200 plus rushing yards, which I think is one of the highest totals in the SWAC this past week. And they did it with a double-headed monster of Terrell Jennings and Yant, the Nebraska transfer, man. They did a heck of a job establishing the run. I think if they can have that, it takes a lot of pressure off of Musa.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I wonder it because normally the coaches teleconference would have been today, but with it being a holiday, they moved it to tomorrow. I'm wondering how Coach Simmons feels now that he's got that JSU monkey off his back.
I told Coach Fred last night on our show he's probably gonna weigh 200 pounds lighter at this press conference. I mean, you got to think. I mean, for the past 2 years, he's had to sit and watch Jackson go win the Celebration Bowl, knowing that was the only game in conference that they've lost for 2 straight years now. I mean, it's got to be eating them alive. And plus, FAMU still has not won an outright conference championship since 2001. That's a long time ago, man. I was 5 last time FAMU won a conference championship. That's crazy.
I don't even want to say how old I was. That's hurting. Zach just hurt my feelings. Just made me feel elder. Taraj, we're gonna get to that. We'll definitely touch on that one. I know we're gonna touch on a lot more later in the week, but we'll touch on that one a little bit later on. So hold on to that question. FAMU's got an opportunity. I was thinking about this earlier. FAMU's got an opportunity to have won a volleyball championship,
baseball.
I don't know if they won bowling. They may have won bowling too. I'm not sure.
I have no idea about that.
I can't remember. But this is all. This is year one under AD Sykes.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things was this is the first game of the season. This is the first time in how long that the first game of the season FAMU had everybody eligible to play.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's very true. Very true. Oh man, I'm trying to correct my camera. I overcorrected. Yeah, so it's big, man. It's big. Next game on the docket: Howard versus Eastern Michigan. I was at a football game, a high school game, and I was literally looking, and the score was 23-6, Eastern Michigan. I stopped watching, I stopped keeping up with the score, focused on the high school game. And I turned back, and the score was 23-30. And Howard was almost within 10 yards of making it 30-30. Does this say more about Howard or less about Eastern Michigan?
A little bit of both. A little bit of. I mean, Howard has some size up front, brother. Let me tell you right now. They got some size, bro.
They gotta get. We just talked about Hampton being, having to adjust for the CIAA. They got Howard's got to get ready for Ivy League.
I thought you was finna say the CIAA.
No, they ain't going CIAA. They gonna go Ivy League.
But they got some size, bro. And if they can get the quarterback play that they got in that during their little run there that they had went on in the second half, they might have something to say about the MEAC as well, man. I think their defense kind of locked in there late in the second quarter, third quarter. They kind of locked in defensively. But, man, I was really surprised with their offense being able to move the ball the way they were. But behind that offensive line, I mean, they were able to run. Quarterback had time. I mean, I don't think that they're going to go away like some people think they are in the MEAC.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't think, like, looking in the first, because I was like you, I was in the airport watching. It was 30-6. So I just turned it off. I boarded my flight. I got bored. I got the Wi-Fi going, and I opened my phone, and like you said, it was 30-23. And I was like, what happened in this game? Like, what is going on? But I mean, you think they lost by 10, and they gave up 16 points on special teams. They had the returns, then they had the safety when the punter dropped the ball out of the back of the end zone. So you can't have those mistakes beating FBS schools. We know what it takes for an FCS school to beat an FBS school. You have to play the perfect game and win the turnover battle, not allow explosive plays like that. You can't give up 16 free points and pull off an upset. Because I mean, you got to think Eastern Michigan won 9 games last year. This wasn't a 3. This wasn't UMass or someone like that. I mean, this was a decent group of 5 schools. So you have to give Howard credit, but that run game is nasty. Eden,
Bring me my
yeah, I mean, he's a dog. You have Jared Hunter. I mean, the list goes on. And then when you're running behind Dankwai and that offensive line, I mean, that kid's a pro prospect, and I cannot wait to see his development. The MEAC had a really bad weekend in some aspects, but Howard, Morgan, I mean, Central play Winston-Salem. We know what they are. Man, the top of the MEAC is going to be a bloodbath between those 3 teams.
Yeah. This game, and you mentioned quarterback play, Quentin Williams. He's been a sore subject.
Dimes, bro.
He's been a sore subject, yeah, for a lot of people. But to see, like you said, the play he had, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. We talked, you know what I'm saying, at the top about Morgan State. So I still think Morgan State is your number 2 team in the MEAC.
It depends on what they get off
that defense. I don't. There's a chance. Okay, I want to put it in perspective. We'll see what Akron. Akron's a gettable FBS game.
Okay,
if they get B+ offense, they could win that Akron game. If they go into MEAC play with an FBS scout and a top 25 scout, man, watch out, because you guys saw what Damon Wilson built at Bowie. If he gets it could be like the downhill slope with a rock rolling down it. It's going to just get heavier and heavier and faster. Because I really can see this defense, man. You look at Central, they got the best. They're going to have a tough offense. Howard has a strong run game, but inconsistent quarterback play at times. And that secondary is legit. That defensive line's legit. But you look at the bottom 3 of the MEAC, the offenses are terrible. There could be a chance Morgan could. I really do think Morgan could finish the season with the number 1 defense in FCS football. Because there's a chance. I know this sounds crazy. If I told y'all they shut out Norfolk, Delaware State, and South Carolina State, would it surprise you guys based on what you've seen?
No. I literally, Zach, said that. I said they're probably the best. No, I was talking about the linebacker, or the best in FCS, not just HBCU. So yes. Was Howard? So there were several. Speaking of, so when you look at HBCUs playing FBS opponents, was Howard the most impressive loss that we saw this weekend? Because you had and it's 3 that come to mind.
Yeah,
4.
not even close.
Yeah,
it's
you got Howard.
Close.
Yeah. I think my number 2 is probably UAPB, and they got blew out, but that game was closer than that score.
Yeah,
either that or A&M.
A&M,
yeah, A&M was okay.
Yeah, and
but I think
I'll
it's Howard.
A&M too. Yeah,
I think it's Howard by a landslide, because usually the thing is UAPB played inspired early, but man, that game got so it got so far away from them that it's hard to pick them. I do love what they showed in the first half, though. The Vandy game, I don't know. It's Vandy, and I don't understand why Maynard wasn't more confident going into that one. That was impressive, but for if you're an FCS school, when it gets 30-6, most teams pull their starters. Most teams give up. The fact that they kept fighting and they just got better and better. That third quarter, they were amazing. That's why I think they had one of the most impressive FCS versus FBS performances of the week. I mean, them, Rhode Island, and probably UAlbany were the top 3 in my opinion in terms of close losses to FBS schools. Because this is the first time, I can't believe it, the FCS was 0-42 this weekend against FBS schools. No FCS over FBS upsets, but we had 3 D2 over FCS upsets this weekend.
Oh, wow.
How much of a chance do you give Howard to beat Northwestern, considering how bad they are and all the turmoil they got going on up there right now?
That's one of my picks that could be a big upset. Yeah.
And Northwestern lost in
they lost to last year?
Rutgers.
Well, no, they lost an FCS school last year, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say they lost to Southern Illinois.
They only won one game last year. They beat Nebraska in the first game of the year. Then they went 0 for 10 for the rest of the season.
I want to say they lost to Southern Illinois, who Southern Illinois didn't even make the FCS playoffs. They finished like 6th in the Missouri Valley. So it's a gettable game, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm looking it
Yeah.
up now, seeing who did they lose to last year. Southern Illinois, 31-24.
Yeah, that's why, because I thought I remember it was one of those MVFC schools. So I think Howard could do it. Talk about a turnaround for the MEAC, man, because it was a tough weekend. If I'm telling you, Morgan saved the perception of that conference. If they lose big to Richmond, and you're looking, Central got a win over a Division II school, which they should because of how good they are. You had Howard, an inspiring performance against an FBS school, but then you would have had a Morgan blowout to Richmond. South Carolina State has not looked good all season, and then 2 D2 losses by double digits.
What
That would
about
have been horrible.
What about how the SWAC looked this weekend? Losing to a CIAA school, losing to a Valley dropping to a D2 school. I mean, they didn't have a great. I know a lot of their teams played each other as well, but they didn't have a great weekend either.
No, they did. I mean, the problem is though, is because of the way the MEAC there's so few teams that I think the Bowie loss is not very surprising to any of us. But man, you can't lose if you're Delaware State. Losing that game is just tough, because what the SWAC fans are going to say is, oh, it's Valley.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what's going to happen with the first-year head coach in a neutral site in Chicago. Plus, I mean, you look at Valley going into next week. They get a bye week this week. Next week they play Delta State. They're down in that all-time series 5-1 to Delta State, and have to travel to Delta State, who they lost to by almost 20 points last year.
Fighting Okras.
Yeah. So there's going to probably be 4 D2 losses in HBCU football in just the first 3 weeks.
Crazy. Crazy.
All right. Let me ask this, Zach. The game you actually attended, Tennessee State, Notre Dame. It's historic because it's the first time that Notre Dame has ever played any FCS school, let alone a HBCU. What was the atmosphere? I mean, I know fans, fans were Notre Dame fans. Let me correct that. We're saying that why are we even playing this game, stuff like that. But as far as from the Tennessee State side, what was the perspective?
They sold it out. It was Notre Dame. Listen, Notre Dame's one of those programs, let's just be honest. We all know, as we've all covered Power 5, it doesn't matter who LSU plays week 1 at home. They're going to sell it out. Doesn't matter who Tennessee plays. They're going to sell it out. Notre Dame, Ohio State, those programs always sell out. The crowd was electric, man. They were hyped for this game. It was weird. And the weird thing is, because this is the first time I've ever traveled to a money game. I usually don't do this, but it was a historic game. They invited me, so I wanted to go experience it. Man, it was weird. I don't know if it was patronizing for Tennessee State fans or not, but it was weird because it was like they had so much respect for Eddie George that the fans were super respectful to the kids and the band and the cheerleaders. Dude, they had a group of people sitting in front of the Tennessee State cheerleaders and band, and they were trying to get them to play during the game. And cheering for their band more than their own. It was a weird dynamic with that. Yeah. But in terms of the game, man, Tennessee State played a hell of a first quarter. I don't know if anyone watched it. They allowed a touchdown early on. It was 7-0. They drive down, get a field goal, and then force a fumble on the next kickoff. And are in the red zone with the chance to take the lead. They have the field goal. They got a field goal blocked, and things got out of hand there. But man, that first quarter they played really, really well. But then the depth, obviously, Notre Dame's a top probably 10 team coming up in the next poll. I mean, they're that good. And Sam Hartman's legit. I just want to say, seeing him in person, I know it was Tennessee State secondary. That dude can ball. You just see all the stuff kind of click for him. But I'll say this: Tennessee State. Yeah. He's listen. He looks like a grown man. He walked out midfield, and I was taking pictures pregame, and I was like, who is I thought he was a coach. Looks like a grown man in person. But I will say this: I think this week y'all are going to see how good Tennessee State is.
Okay, yeah,
I really do. I mean,
they've got UAPB, so that's going to be an interesting matchup.
I think they win that one definitively, and I'm telling you, if they can figure out the quarterback situation, they're going to be really good because they can run the football. They were establishing the run really well, and the defense played a great game. Jalen Bell is 6'1", playing defensive tackle, going up against Notre Dame, and had an outs. I mean, it was in the backfield all day long as an undersized defensive tackle. That kid, his potential's through the roof. I think the linebacker James Green played a great game, and then you also had Monroe Beard, that UAPB transfer. He had a huge game for them too at the other linebacker spot. So they have the pieces. It's unfortunate. I don't like these big money games because, man, 56-3 is tough to like take positives away. But I think this week, man, they're really going to show everyone how good they are.
So this next one, I don't want to talk about the game so much as I do want to talk about the ending.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Virginia State and Norfolk State.
Wow.
For those of you who haven't seen, Virginia State was basically beating Norfolk State, and I think Norfolk came back, but Virginia State had the ball late. They had it late in their own end zone, and when I say late, it's like 4 seconds left. The quarterback gets the ball, runs out of bounds, and leaves 1 second left on the clock. It was a 3-point game. So,
but
Norfolk
he didn't get
State,
the first down.
He didn't get well, it wasn't even first down. He was just trying to, like, he was, I don't know. Because the crazy part about it, I like, think about it. If he just goes down in bounds, but anyway,
no, it was fourth down. It was fourth down. That's what I'm saying.
Oh well,
yeah. So he had to get the
first down. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, he leaves 1 second on the clock for Norfolk State, and they're literally in extra point range, getting ready to kick this extra point to tie the game. Basically, it was a field goal. And the long snapper snaps it over the holder's head. Virginia State recovers and runs it in to they were already winning, but they make this go from a 3-point game to basically a 10-point game.
Yeah, that was a bad beat, but it wasn't as bad as what UAB did to A&T and blew my parlay on that scoring a touchdown with 39 seconds left. Come on, Trent Dilfer, bro. Come on, man. Like, I had A&T plus 28.5, man. Come on. And they were down 22 and you scored a touchdown with 39 seconds left in the game. But
of course.
But yeah, I don't know what Virginia State was thinking. I guess they were so scared of, getting the punt blocked or something along them lines that they just tried to run the clock out. But it almost backfired on them in the worst possible way.
And Josh said it best. Throw the ball as far as you can out of the out of bounds. Yeah,
just throw it out the stadium.
Yeah,
as far as you can, just chunk it. I mean, because it's going to run off the clock anyway, or just run like you can see the clock. Like, you have to see the clock.
The crazy part about it, he could have took a safety with and it wouldn't have mattered. But
yeah. It was a bad game. It was a bad game all around. Like, I mean, it was a bad game to watch. It was tough. And I said beforehand, Dawson Odoms has been on the hot seat for me. I know he has like 10 years left on this damn contract, dude. It's for, I don't know who, his agent needs to be in the Hall of Fame because that contract's outrageous. But at the end of the day, man, like, are we looking at Norfolk potentially not winning a game this year?
Yeah.
They had every chance to win this game. I mean, they shot themselves. The title of this show is Self-Inflicted. This episode is Self-Inflicted. That could be just talking about Norfolk State. I know we was talking about multiple teams and what they did, but they had a chance to win this game, and they just shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah,
repeatedly.
I'm gonna trade it lightly with this next one because it's been been some hurt feelings behind this one. Labor Day Classic, Prairie View versus Texas Southern.
Oh, you ain't lying about this one. That social media toxic.
Ooh, yeah. I listen. Y'all leave our good friend alone. She don't bother nobody. But obviously she might cut you. Because it's just but what she's saying makes sense. It's been a lot. First of all, I will say social media has given a lot of y'all this false sense of confidence that you can just say and do anything. I know I can be a troll online at times, a lot. But Ant, be quiet. But
I'm just drinking my tea, man. That's all I'm doing.
Y'all, like, seriously, man, y'all gotta y'all do. I want y'all to realize that these people, these athletes, have families, and some of those family members ain't necessarily grow up in church and will do something about all that talk. So yeah, but Prairie View, Texas Southern, the actual game. And I was leaving the other Labor Day class that we're gonna talk about next. And we was on the phone talking about it, and you was like, man, body look good. This is what's going on. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And I did not think anything of it. Next thing you know, I wake up the next day, I see Dr. Cavill, Mike Washington on their show, and they in full Prairie View regalia. And I was like, whoa, what was the final score? Yeah.
So it was a good game. It was a classic game. Great comeback by PV. I mean, well, it started crazy because PV was winning, and then Texas Southern made a comeback, and then Texas Southern had a pretty comfortable lead. Then PV started making a comeback, and then they ultimately came back and sent it to overtime. So it was a great game. You can't put the loss on one player by any means, but two big turnovers late in that game by Andrew Body. One, so PV scored, then Texas Southern threw an interception. PV's defense gets a 3 and out, or a stop on fourth down, big sack of Conley. Next possession, an interception. You can't have back-to-back interceptions and at that critical junction of the game, and expect your team to keep a lead like that they're so direly hanging on to. But I mean, he played great in the first half to give his team a lead. He had a lot of drops by his receivers, didn't help him at all. A lot of major drops in that and big moments in that game. But I think the biggest thing is just the fight and the grit of PV, man. They never gave up in this game. The defense locked in whenever they had to. Colin made big plays with his arm when he had to in certain instances, big touchdown pass late. Our guy Antoine running the ball pretty well late in that game.
Yeah,
some
he had
major runs.
I see now he had 18 carries, 89 yards.
Yeah, some big runs late in that game as well. But I think the biggest thing that I took away from that is the fight from both of those teams to come back once from Texas Southern, and then for PV to give up a lead and come back and retake it again later on in the game. That's a lot of the grit and determination from that team. And I think both of these teams got a lot of season left ahead of them. But if PV can get the quarterback play from Conley that they got throwing the ball late in this game, they might have something to say about that West.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough loss.
Yeah, I'm looking at the win probability on, and it's crazy to look at it because like this graph is like up and down, and at one point there was a 92% chance for Texas Southern, and then if we flip it, there's an 88% chance for Prairie View. So it's all over the place.
Yeah, I mean it's just I'm worried about Texas Southern because we've seen so many times just across college football an early close loss like this to a rival in division make us set a program back a long ways, and they just never seem to kind of get their footing through the year. So I'm very interested to see what happens. I think you saw the potential of like, man, we've heard the offseason hype. We know what he could be all conference. You saw that at times. The kid was balling, man. And then like Ant said, the wide receivers were not helping him out in the first half. Quay kind of came on late and it kind of established himself as wide receiver one. But at the end of the day, man, if you're the superstar, if you're the face of the program, you can't make those mistakes. at the end of the day. Like, man, I don't blame the defense. The defense looked much improved. The new defensive coordinator, it looks like he's taken that defense a whole nother step up. Michael Atkins had a big game. Jacob Williams at linebacker had a big game. They were playing really well, but when you're putting your defense in bad situations repeatedly in the fourth quarter, man, you can't ask for anything more than them. You're giving PB short fields. You're asking your defense to play high minutes. That's not winning. That's not a winning recipe, man. And I wonder what the potential of Texas Southern is now. And for PV, give their offensive coordinator Mark Frederick some credit. We've seen too many times this weekend teams who are run heavy or their identity is in the rushing attack abandon it early because they weren't getting the production they needed. Man, PV only averaged like 3, maybe like low 4 yards per carry in this game, but never got away from the run. They said, we are a running team and we're going to grind it out. Even if we got to run for 3 yards per carry, you're going to have to make us not run this football. So give him his credit for sticking to his game plan.
Yeah. I'm looking at it. 3.4, which is ironic, because that's what Grambling was when we talked about them. 3.4 yards per rush. Texas Southern was at 7.1.
Yeah, Ladarius Owens had a stupid game this weekend.
Eight carries, 104 yards. 8 carries.
He should have had 15 to 20 carries that game.
Yes, I agree. Looking at this, wow.
And that's one of my biggest things about that. One of those interceptions that late in the game. Whenever you're trying to ice the clock, why even put Andrew Body in that situation? You know what I mean? Just run the ball. You've already been having success running the ball. Run the clock out. Lean on that running game. If you can't run the clock out with 2 minutes left in the game, then that's a bad sign for your offense. So don't even put Andrew Body in that situation and just hand the ball off, especially when you got a guy who's already went for 100 yards today. Just feed him. He only had 7 carries, 8 carries, something like that. So he had fresh legs. Carries. Just feed him.
Yeah. Especially with the new clock rule.
Oh yeah,
man, bro, you can take a core. Like I talked to a coach today. I won't name the school. It's an HBCU school. He called me and said, "Man, after our first game, he goes, I've already talked to our coach. He said, if we play a team that we have a lead in the second half, he was like, dude, we have a 15-minute drill now that we're trying to install in this offense where we think we could take away a whole quarter."
I believe it.
You can.
I believe. I literally I
take care of the ball good enough. My bad, Pooh. If you take care of the ball good enough, and you have a quarterback who knows how to control the snap count, the clock, to where you're getting it off at 3 seconds, 2 seconds every time. If you're consistent enough with that run game, you could easily take a quarter off.
You remember who did Army do that to? There was wasn't it like a few
Oklahoma.
years back? Yeah, man, they control. They ran the ball the whole.
It was Oklahoma
or Michigan. Yeah, because remember they had the ball the entire third quarter. The entire third quarter, Oklahoma didn't get a drive, and now
that was with the old rules.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine what you could do now. And I think that's what's most surprising about these FCS, FBS upsets. If I'm an FCS school, I'm going into the game saying, you might be able to score, but I'm only giving you 2 drives a quarter at most.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. At the speaking of, I guess we can transition over. At the other Labor Day Classic, the Alabama State Southern Labor Day Classic. At one point, I think the first quarter, Alabama State got a drive, Southern got a drive, and then the quarter was over. And I was like, how? But those offenses were clicking in that game. In this game, Southern Harold Blood looked really good in the scripted plays that first quarter. He came out, he looked really good. He had some incompletions, but it was kind of par for the course. He looked really good. And they went downfield and they scored. D. Davis, I was very impressed with the improvement and the game plan with how they attacked. Because they came out and ran a lot of direct snap to Howell and they would make it seem like it kind of, snap went over D Davis' head. He, jumped through the fake and stuff, and Howard get in and take off running. Or they would roll him out of the pocket, or they would, motion, the trips to the opposite side, get a feel on what the coverage was and go from there. It was a really good game plan on offense by both teams, especially the scripted plays. And then the defenses started settling in a little bit, and it was a whole different ball game. So after half, I was in his zone by the locker room with Southern coming out, and Southern was coming out, and Alabama State was warming up in the end zone, and there was a guy laying on the ground. He was stretching, and he yells to Harold Blood. I'm not gonna say the words, but he basically said, "Throw me one. Hey, throw me one. Let me get one." Harold Blood went out to throw 2 picks.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Southern fans who are not happy right now with the way the game plan was, with the decision making, the lack of adjustments at halftime. Even some questioning whether the right quarterback was being played. So it could be a long year in Baton Rouge, depending on how things change going forward. But if you look at everybody else in the West, we talked about Grambling with their quarterback situation. We talked about UAPB not being a pushover anymore. Texas Southern and Prairie View both looked great. And we ain't even mentioned Alcorn yet and what we know they could be. So it could be a long year for them in Baton Rouge. I'm not saying it will be, but the fan base is looking like there needs to be some things changing, or it would be a long year.
Yeah, I mean, look at the SWAC West. Everyone called an L this week, except for PV. Everyone's sitting at 0-1. That's not great.
I think with Southern. So first of all, let me say this: I was standing for late in the third quarter, fourth quarter. I was standing in the end zone. The end zone. Southern was, going towards. I guess that's the north end zone. I was standing next to BJ, and I ain't gonna lie, BJ had me shook. I was standing next to BJ. BJ turns to me, and he says, "Why are they running in the middle when they're when Alabama State's blitzing the A gap?" He ain't say it like that, but he said it like that.
Oh, I can only imagine how BJ said it because he don't play about Southern, man. He is passionate.
And so he was like, BJ turns back. And he said they need to run speed option. I said, oh, okay. 2 drives later, Southern probably finally run speed option, and he just turns to me and look and said, "Why they ain't been doing that?" So I don't know. First thing came to my mind was this man had forgot more football than I probably had even seen that day. That I remember, and just for BJ to analyze a play that quick and that fast and to see it and to understand was one, it was very impressive. But it was like, if he's seeing this, why aren't they seeing it?
Yeah. I mean, you got to think, the one defensive guy that I do not want near the football, Bubba Adams. He is the Mike linebacker consistently in the middle of the field, and you are running it straight into him. This dude, you aren't running over him. You're not beating him to the spot. He's too athletic. He's too big. He's too strong. He's too good at linebacker. Why are you just feeding him the ball? That's what they did all night. And their run game was so uncreative. You have Gary Quarles, all SWAC running back. Kobe Dillon was one of the best freshman running backs in the country 2 years ago. You are so deep at running back, which is why I picked Southern. I picked Southern because I had questions about the quarterbacks. Their running backs should have been able to win this game. They could not run the football. And then you look on the other side, man. Keyshawn is the best wide receiver in the SWAC right now. I don't even know if it's a debate. That kid is unstoppable. If you, no offense to D Davis, he played a great game. If he had a quarterback, Musa, Andrew Body, Miles Crawley this weekend, Keyshawn Johnson might go for 200. He's that good. I mean, Southern has good defensive backs, and they had no idea what to do with him.
Yeah. G was running that thing. Here, of course, he had 8. I mean, and he didn't play most of the second half.
Yeah.
He did not play. He had 8 carries for 30 yards. He was a leading rusher. The second leading rusher, Harold Blood, and I promise you that wasn't by design. He was getting pushed out of that pocket that whole second half. D. Davis, to your point, Zach, threw for 180 yards. Keyshawn Johnson had 107 of those and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. He played a lot more efficient. I understand people are critical of him because they want to see him go win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a quarterback that just does his job and wins the football game over a guy who tries to make plays and ends up losing the game. Give me what D. Davis did. Yeah, over and no offense, I'll take the win in what D. Davis did over what Miles Crawley did in the loss.
Yeah. He was very efficient in that first half. Very efficient.
Yeah. Speaking of that, it brings me back to what Travis said. It was a bad weekend for the state of Louisiana.
Very.
We ain't got to go into no
seats.
details, but yeah, it definitely was, man. It was terrible.
Hey, I mean, even if you talk about like what McNeese did, what Southeastern did or didn't do,
yeah,
it was bad all the way around.
Wow. I'm sorry. I got the Duke Clemson game on, and Clemson was driving in to score. The running back got hit, fumbled the ball, and Duke just picked it up and ran it back to their own 30. It's
I'm gonna say this: Florida State's gonna win the ACC, and it's not even gonna be close.
Yeah, I already said. Yeah, I said that. And to Travis' point, I don't want to necessarily go into detail about it. I had already said that Florida State would be the toughest game. I have been saying it all summer. Be the toughest game that LSU plays. It's probably the best team that LSU will play in the regular season. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, this is. Anywho, back to the subject at hand. You mentioned Bubba Adams. Phenomenal game. He was all over the field. He was involved. It seemed like he was involved in everything. Travis said, I thought that was your face. Remember how good the tailgating was on Saturday. Yeah. Bubba had an amazing game. That defense as a whole, like I said, second half turned up. One thing that I think I want to give big credit to Coach Robinson for doing, because a lot of coaches might not have had the been able to set their ego aside to do bringing somebody like Coach Sims on staff. We talked at media day, hey, Bubba, how is it? What is it like? Asking him and Howard, what is it like adding someone like Coach Sims? And Bubba was like, man, it's great. It's like he's helped me so much as far as like seeing the defense and stuff and seeing the offense and picking up on stuff. And it was before Southern got that last drive or attempt to get the last drive. I was trying to get a good picture of it, but it was Coach Sims and Bubba. He was literally in Bubba's ear, just telling him, hey, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like saying, we need to be looking for this, blah, blah, blah. Very first play, it wasn't Bubba, but very first play, Blood drops back, throws it, and it's a pick. So it's like when you add something like that, yeah.
I don't think they're going to be a pushover. You guys remember, FAMU had to block a field goal and return it to win that game last year over Alabama State. If D. Davis takes that efficient step forward, Bama State's going to give FAMU a strong run for their money this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy. It might be a little biased. I think with FAMU having to go, I am, but with FAMU having to go to A&M this year, I think that might.
I don't know about that. I need to see it against. I need to see them play an FCS school before I make my final take on what
and
A&M is.
I mean, and I think we know who the quarterback's gonna be.
We do.
Phantom, yeah.
Is it gonna be
it was
Langford?
one quarterback stood out. I mean, granted, his numbers weren't great, but he looked a lot better than the other quarterback. So we
Talking about Langford.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I thought he looked the best.
I thought he did too. I don't think it was even close.
Yeah. By the time they get that and then actually play, like Zach say, play FCS, I think they'll be okay.
They have a D2 team this weekend, right? They got Tuskegee.
Lane.
Is it Lane? Okay, I knew it was like one of the two.
Yeah, Tuskegee's homecoming. That is going to be a good. Zach, I'm glad you. What a transition, Tuskegee. This week we saw Tuskegee take on Fort Valley State in the Red Tails Classic at the Crampton Bowl in Montgomery. First of all, that game was back and forth. It was truly a shootout. Fort Valley State got up big. Well, shooting the score ain't right on ESPN. Which I'm speaking. Let me rant a little bit about ESPN. ESPN. This game was on your network. It was on ESPNU. How do you not have the stats on your website? How? It was one of your games on one of your main platforms. Y'all got to do right by HBCUs. ESPN.
Well, bro, did you know? So I talked to a coach at Valley today. The coaches don't even have the stats for the Valley Central State game this weekend. They didn't keep live stats. Apparently, they had to send them the all 22 film today for them to go back and rewatch and calculate the stats.
That's wild. That's wild.
What are we doing? How does a team prepare for the next week if the damn coaches don't even have the information to go off? Like,
wild.
What are we doing?
Touchdown, Duke. It's it drives me wild that we don't have like that you have to wait until the newspaper or something like that for high school games. With this being a college, you can't tell me there's not an intern or math major or something, that you can't bring in a college student that you can't tell me that wouldn't be willing to travel with a team, get this experience and calculate these stats and keep. Come on, man. Come on. We got to do better with that.
Especially big high school teams, like when Buford plays St. Francis. Bro, I had you could pull up the full box score the second the game ended. Or when Modern Day or Lipscomb Academy up in Nashville, like, man, Pike. I mean, in the state, do you think Thompson in the state of Alabama doesn't have their stats the night of the game?
Thompson,
it's
Hoover.
They go to Max Preps when the game over and get it.
Yeah, Max Prep keep up with the score. Here, ESPN didn't even have the score. You know where I had to get the score from? Shout out to HBCU Game Day and your app for having the scores to the game for HBCU games. I truly appreciate y'all for that. Shout out to the fighting. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's what's called. I was gonna say shout out to Stephen Gaithers and Mr. Vaughn and all those guys over there because of y'all, I was able to at least find out if I was watching the game on live because that's the only way I could see the score. I turned it was at the end of the game. I think I left, went to the kitchen or something to come back just to see if this went to overtime or whatever. And the game was over and there was no score on ESPN's app. Thank you, HBCU Game Day, for having the app so I could find out the score. And yes, Mr. Terry said Aaron James is a good coach. Shout out to the 251. The Pride of Pritchett, former Blunt High School quarterback, former Tuskegee quarterback, great man, great person, Mr. Aaron James. Appreciate you. Proud of you. Definitely so. Yeah.
Speaking of first wins, our guy at Bluefield State.
That wasn't the first one. But the first one for the season. Yes.
Yeah, for their first season.
Yeah.
It's their first CIAA victory
is.
since they've been
Yeah.
back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Beating
It
Livingston.
is, man. Shout out to
They
Coach
beat
Cole.
Livingston, I think.
Livingstone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Livingstone.
Livingstone.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Coach. I hit him up, man, and told congratulations. Because I want to find out the proper way to say quarterback's name. Coach, responding and stuff, taking that busy time to answer, I appreciate it.
He's a great coach, man. He's a good dude
Yeah.
too. Like he reached out to me. I think he was on y'all's show.
Yeah.
And I was in the comments and commented something. I was like, I'm gonna support him. That's the only D2 score I kept up with all weekend for like D2 versus D2. And so like the fact that he reached out after the show, man, he's a cool dude, man. I'm hoping they go ball out this year.
Yeah. I don't know where I'm gonna be able to find it. CIAA, make a way for this Johnson C. Smith and this Bluefield State game to be televised or recorded somewhere. I need to see this game. I know it's gonna be hype. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be a game. I'm looking forward to seeing this game. Definitely, man. I'm just
yes. HBCU Go or HBCU Plus needs to step up in that situation.
I agree. Completely agree. There was another big CIAA win or CIAA over FCS school. Let me see. Let me check and see.
The only D2 over FCS wins that there was Central State over Valley. There was the Norfolk loss, and then there was the Delaware State loss. Those were the only 3 D2 losses. Okay. The only 3 FCS losses to D2.
Okay, I must have been thinking about another game then, but
unless they knocked off a top like other D2 school, I don't know if there was like a ranked upset or whatever in terms of D2 upsets.
Yeah. Other than that, man, Kentucky State, that was another impressive one that I did see. Kentucky State versus Clark and Kentucky State's new offense. They might make a little noise in the SIAC. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Very interesting to see. But man, conference players of the week, those came out, and hold on, I'm missing the swags. Hold on, let me get the swags up here.
I want to say Bubba was defensive.
It was.
Yeah, here we go. So we had Trayvon Conley, because and this is a little controversial because a lot of people said that Miles Crowley should have got it. His stats were better than Trayvon, but Trayvon led a comeback. Yeah, Trayvon
you can't lose the game and get MVP.
Yeah. Then you got Bubba had 12 total tackles. I had to look it up. 12 total tackles. 8. I think it was 4 solo, 8 assisted. Marcus Riley, he got specialist of the week, and he also got newcomer in the player of the week. So shout out to him. On the MEAC side, this thing looked like a complete North Carolina Central affair. Davis Richard got offensive player of the week. Defensive player of the week was Eric Hunter. Rookie of the week, I'm sorry, Eric Hunter from Morgan State. Rookie of the week was Jamari Aaron from Howard. Offensive lineman of the week was Daquan Thomas from North Carolina Central, and specialist of the week was Brandon was it Covington?
Mm-hmm.
From Codgerton from the MEAC from North Carolina Central. Now for the CIAA, SIAC didn't put one out. I did check. But now for the CIAA, Jaquez Hart from Bluefield State, the quarterback, he got player of the week. You got Jada Byers, who's probably going to be a staple on this list. They probably going to write his name in pen, permanent marker. He got running back. Malachi Langley from Lincoln got the wide receiver. Justin Meade from Virginia Union got offensive lineman. Jalen Dollar from Elizabeth City State got defensive lineman. Gerald Simpson from Fayetteville State got linebacker. Willie Drew from Virginia State got defensive back. Brady Myers from Virginia Union got the kicker / punter. And Jackie Hart again was the Bluefield State. From Bluefield State, got rookie of the week. So congratulations to them.
Willie Drew was all over the field for Virginia State, man. All over the field.
Yeah, there was he got like some love for some NFL scouts and like evaluators on social media. I saw that where they were talking about he's like a legit NFL draft prospect.
Yeah, that kid was all over the field.
That's dope. Any other notable games performances that we left out?
No, I just want to say I told y'all Bubba should have been SWAT Defensive Player of the Year, but just want to throw that out there again.
I'm with you. I am with you on that. But man. I talked about it at the top, Zach. I did hit him with that. I said, hey, I walked up behind him and said, hey, what Tom could be cheating? He balled out after that, man. So
yeah, you should have walked up to him and been like, hey man, I just heard from the SWAC. They already named Sundiata the player of the week, man. It don't matter what you do out here.
That's cold. That's cold.
Oh man. Bubble, man. Great dude, man. Great dude.
Yeah.
Proud of him, happy for him. Same with Howell, man. He didn't have yardage and stuff like, you know what I'm saying, he probably won it, but he was a staple back there, man.
He went up against a really good Southern defensive front, man. Those D tackles for Southern, what is it? Shelby Givens and Taj, is it Boyd? Or no, it's Taj Brown. Those two kids are unblockable at times. I mean, man, you got to give them their props. They were shout out to D Davis for staying composed, man, because they were in the backfield at the snap majority of that game.
Oh yeah. Right. He was running for his life. And I do like the play calling and trying to kind of move the pocket, misdirection, direct snaps and stuff. Like I said, I think that was key. All right. Before we get ready to get up out of here, I know I asked about other notable games and performances. I do want to go back. It was a comment somebody asked about this week coming up. Grambling and LSU. They'll say, hey, I know it's not your current topic right now. I'm excited to see this weekend with Grambling versus LSU. What are your expectations with LSU and the talent on both sides of each team? And you want to jump in that first?
What is my expectations with this LSU and the talent on both sides of the ball? I feel like LSU gonna come out pissed off, and that might not be best case scenario for Grambling. But I do feel like, from based off what I saw this weekend, Grambling might can move the ball on LSU secondary. With Lennon Rash, Nashawn Dickerson, and them guys, I think they can move the ball a little bit. I just don't know how long they can keep it close. I think the depth will start playing a factor sooner or later. But if they come out on fire, kind of like we saw UAPB, like we saw from some of them other schools playing them FBS opponents, they might keep it close for a little while. And I think they can move the ball a little bit, but I don't see it being one of those upset special type of games.
Oh, no.
The worst case scenario is that LSU lost to Florida State the way they did.
Yes.
Grambling, I know Hugh Jackson was in his office watching it, throwing laptops. Like, the last thing you wanted was LSU to get beat like that, because Brian Kelly's going to have those guys. He might play the starters for 2 quarters now instead of just one, because now you got to go out there and prove it. I will say Sundiata has a shot, though, because after the way Jared Verse performed yesterday, we know he's the top edge rusher in the class. Obviously, that kid's a freak. If Sundiata can't, like, they're going to compare his performance to Jared's performance in terms of NFL evals. Sundiata's on the clock, man. You got to go out there and ball, man. Jared set the bar very, very high. You got to go try to reach it.
Yeah. Last year, Southern came in this game 1-0 after they beat up on Florida Memorial. And so Southern came in a little bit more confidence. After the defeat, that Grambling took, from Hampton, I don't know if they come in with saying as confident as they may have. I mean, granted, they probably wouldn't have came in, saying high hopes anyway, but now it might get a little bit ugly real fast. So, and for a long period of time. So we shall see.
I don't expect much.
Yeah. But Zach, man, appreciate you jumping on last minute, man.
For sure.
Tell the people where they can find you and all that good stuff. But here, floor is yours.
Hey, man, appreciate y'all having me on, man. I always love chopping it up with you guys. That's why when y'all invited me, man, I made sure to have everything ready. But you can find me, the bluebloodcfb.com, man. Articles all the time on FCS football, the Blue Bloods on all podcast streaming platforms, YouTube, the _ Blue Bloods on all social media. And then it's just at Zach McKinnell on all social media, man. But anytime, love chopping it up with you guys. Appreciate y'all again.
The GOAT.
Yes, sir. I'll tell y'all this, and Zach, man, it's always love. There's nobody. It's when it comes to FCS, D2, D3. I know you're more FCS. There's nobody I trust more than you. And also I got Kelly. Definitely. Nobody I trust more than you guys. Truly appreciate always having y'all having you on, especially, man, because
the GOAT.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man, I definitely appreciate y'all, man. Well, hey, y'all have a good night, man. Looking forward to hopping back on. I'm looking at y'all. Got to let me know y'all's game day schedule, man. I got to catch y'all at the game this year.
Yes,
For
definitely.
sure.
I hate, and I didn't realize I realized the Tennessee State. I knew you. I was like, man, Zach will be here too.
I would have been if it wasn't been for that. Like, that was the game I was going to go to. I was either like, I had it planned. I was either going to hit I was going to either go to Texas Southern PV or Alabama State Southern. Like, those were my two other games. But then once I got the Notre Dame, I was like, got to take that one. I can get to Alabama State any weekend.
Yeah. I know touchdown Jesus was probably, amazing.
Too much to pass up, huh? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But that bucket list name, man. Well, hey, y'all have a great night, man. Appreciate y'all.
All right.
You too, bro.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all know what it is. We'll be back on Thursday, man. We're gonna finally get our guys back, man, from the wild card. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, we ran into an issue with Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi down at Alabama State. So, but we'll be back on Thursday, man. And like that, we're out.
This show was presented by betonline.ag.
Bring me my money.